Hello everyone. So now what is the next topic, that is LINQ and EF core. So these are the questions has been asked in the interview of PWC in LINQ and EF core. So the around 5 to 6 questions. So first is, this is the basic question, like what is IE enumerable and IQ variable. Then like what is the migration commands, like how we can run the migration commands and what are the commands exist. Then this is the very important question, like how does SQL knows the migration happens in the .NET application. Okay. Fourth is like immediate and deferred execution, and this too is a LINQ query. Okay. So for the explanation, like I have created a Visual Studio application for only LINQ examples, where I'm going to explain you the answers of all the questions. Okay. Now let's jump to the code first. Okay. Before code, let me show you the SQL Server Management Studio. Okay. So this is the SSMS, where you can find the only one database. Okay. Product order DB, and we are going to deal with the employee database. Okay. Let me refresh it. Okay. As you can see in the database, you can find only product order DB database. Okay. There is no employee DB database, and we are going to work with the employee database. Okay. Now let's jump to the Visual Studio. Okay. So in the Visual Studio, the basic application I have created having the controller, employee controller I have created. Then I have created the DB context. Third, I have created the employee model, which is having only minimum property, ID, name, department, salary, and I did the configuration into the program.cs. Which configuration? The DB context configuration. Okay. Till now this is done. Okay. So what is the question? There is a question that is called IE enumerable versus IQ variable. Second is, tell me the migration commands. Okay, now let's jump to the migration first. I'm going to explain you step by step, like how migration works, what kind of a command that we'll have to run, and how it reflects to DB. Okay, I am going to cover multiple questions and answer in the same project example. Okay, let's go to the package manager console. Okay, now let's try to run the command .NET EF migration add initial create. Okay, this is the first migration command we are trying to run. Okay, now you can see we got the error, could not execute because specific command was not found or found. Okay, instead of .NET, let's try to use EF only. Okay, now let's run. EF is not recognized. Okay, so let's try to figure out the error first. Okay, to resolve that error, I did one thing. I have installed the EF core, EF tool NuGet packages globally by using Windows PowerShell. Okay, I will show you the command. Okay, I have executed through command prompt or through Windows PowerShell. This is the command: .NET tool install .NET EF globally. Okay, now let's try to run the EF migration command. Okay, what was the output? No project was found. Change the current working directory or use the project option. Okay, no project found. Now let's try to execute this. Now let's execute the command .NET EF migration initial create. Okay, let's wait. It will start building the application. Build is succeeded. Now let's wait. Now you can see it started. Now we have received the error about the migration method not found. Okay, let's try to solve this error. Now what I have tried to keep the versions of SQL Server, Entity Framework and Entity Framework tools should be same. Okay, might be this error we have received due to the version mismatch. Now let's try to run the migration command one more time to see whether it will success or not. Still we are getting the error. Still we can say that we are getting the error. Now Build has been started, build has been succeeded. Now let's check whether it will successfully create the migration commands or not. Now let's check. Still we can say that it is not done. Migration command has been removed. Oh, okay. Now you can see the migration folder has been created. Okay. This is a warning. Nothing to worry. As you can see, this is done. And to undo the action, we have to use EF migration remove. So as you can see, we are successfully create the migration scripts. Okay. By using the command, this is the migration script. Let's jump to the database. Because we have created the migrations only, we have not updated to the database. Now let's go to the database and you can find there is no employee database in our local SSMS. Okay, let me refresh it. Okay, as you can see, only product order DB which was exist already. Okay, now let's jump to the in .NET Visual Studio. Now let's run the command, that is update database, to reflect the the scripts or the table, or to create the database to SQL, to reflect the complete schema to the SQL Server database. Now the command is .NET EF update database update. It's not update database, it is update database. Let me repeat, it's not update database, it is database update. Okay, now let's try to execute it. As you can see, the build has been started. I am getting these errors in red because there are some vulnerability in the package. There are few packages which is not needed as of now, and there is a vulnerability. That's why we are getting this error. As you can see, update database command is also successfully executed. Now means we are expected the employee database and table should be created into the SQL Server Management Studio. Okay. Now let's go to the SSMS and now let's refresh the database. Okay. So as you can see, the employee DB has been created. Okay. So the question number 2 has been done. What are the migration commands that we have to work for create database and update database? Second. Okay. Now let's go to the next question. Where is our next question? There is a question I know, to know like how the EF knows the migration happens. I will show you. Let me open Excel draw. Okay. So what is the next question? That is the just look at the question number 3. Like how does SQL knows the migration happens in the .NET? So this is the correct question. So if you go back to the code, we just do the code. If you know, recently we did the migration, right? From the .NET side, we recently did the migration. We run the initial migration, then we run the update database. But how database knows? Okay. Let's go to the SQL Server Management Studio. So inside the SQL Server Management Studio, go to the employee database. Okay. Inside the employee database, open the table. Okay. In the table, you can find the table that is underscore EF migration history. This table has been created by .NET to maintain all the histories of migration has been run into the .NET code. So this is the answer of that particular solution or particular question. How EF code, how database knows migration happens on the code. How database knows migration happens into the code. So you have to mention underscore EF migration history table has been created. So by using this table, we'll get to know the migration happens onto the .NET code or not. Okay. So now let's jump back to the first question. What is IEnumerable or when to use IEnumerable and IQueryable. Okay, let's go back to the code. I will give you the practical example. As you can see, we have created the controller. Okay, inside this controller, we'll try to write the code. Okay, so let's create one method, HTTP get, and so let's create a method for queryable. Okay, then let's create public iAction result, then get queryable. Okay, inside this, let's write a query iQueryable employee. We are using the same table which we have created, employee, then query is equals to underscore context dot employee dot where, let's apply a filter condition here, e equals to employee dot salary greater than 50,000. Okay, now trace dot write line. Okay, we'll have to import the correct namespace. Trace dot write line before to list. Okay, simple. We are going to add before to list, no SQL executed yet. Now where result equals to query dot to list. Okay, then return. Okay, we are passing the result. Okay, this is a iQueryable example. Similarly, we can implement the IEnumerable example also. I will explain you step by step. Don't worry. iAction result get IEnumerable. Okay, now get enumerable. Okay, inside this, let's create a IEnumerable collection. IEnumerable, and let's use employee. Okay, then data is equals to underscore context dot employee dot to list, and then console dot write line, data will be loaded in the memory, and then where result, filter the data dot where, the same condition we are going to add here. Okay, similar example I am going to show you, but there is a difference. That difference I wanted to explain you properly. What is the difference? Okay, we can see there is an error we have not mentioned. Okay, here. Okay, so as you can see, the code is clean, no error. Okay, so if we talk about the iQueryable, so what iQueryable do? It will apply the filter condition on database side. Means at this moment query is not executed yet. Query is executed at this time. Query is executed at this moment. Okay, as you can see, this is the filter condition we have applied. After filter condition, whenever we are making a to list, that time the query has been applied. Means iQueryable worked only on the filtered record. Means it will apply the query with filter condition and then get the record. Similarly, if you go with the IEnumerable, what IEnumerable do? IEnumerable loading the complete data first into the memory. It is loading complete data into the memory. Okay, now it will apply filter onto the loaded data. Means IEnumerable works on in memory. What IEnumerable do? It loads complete data into the memory, in memory, and then it applies the filter condition on the in memory variable. So this is the difference between IEnumerable and iQueryable. Okay, so if we discuss about IEnumerable versus iQueryable, which one is faster? So mention I queryable is faster. I will explain you in detail. Okay. Have you wondered about, while working with the LINQ, I enumerable and I queryable, which one is faster? Have you wondered, or have you gone through such kind of a scenario? If no, then this video is for you. I have created a two method. Okay. So if we talk about initially, like which one is faster, so I queryable is faster than I enumerable. Okay. But how? That is what I am going to explain you in this video. Okay. So this is the method which I have created. I have mentioned it as a method name slow and method name is fast. In this method name slow, I am going to implement I enumerable. On the same database, I am going to use I queryable in the fast. Okay. Now why I have mentioned like I enumerable is slow? Okay. Imagine we have a 1 lakh of employee. Okay. Or more than 1 lakh. Okay. Consider we have a 1 lakh of employee. Okay. And you need employee which is having salary who is earning more than 50,000. This is the query that you have to apply. Okay. Now, what in while working with I enumerable, what you can do? In I enumerable, you will create an object of I enumerable data underscore context dot employees context dot employees dot to list. What you are doing here means you are loading everything from the DB at initial stage. Okay. Now what next? Then we'll have to filter the record, means data dot where e equals to e dot salary greater than 50,000, because this is the query that we have to apply. Means what we are doing, applying filter condition on loaded data in memory, because the data has been, we have loaded the complete warehouse data to data variable that is in memory, and then we are applying filter condition on in memory, and then we will return the result, whatever it is, return okay result. Okay. So what we are doing, we are loading complete 1 lakh, 10 lakh, 1 million of record in memory, and then we are applying the filter condition. Okay. Similar to the I queryable. Okay. I will explain you what really happens with I enumerable and I queryable. Okay. Now let's create a I queryable object. I queryable employee query, then underscore context dot employee dot where e equals to e dot salary greater than 50,000, then where result equals to query dot to list, and then we'll return the result. Okay. What we are doing here, okay, the result. Okay. What we are doing here, everything filter on SQL server side and query executes here. Okay. Now what is happening in I enumerable, what is happening in I queryable? If we look at this example, what really happens, SQL is executed, that is select star from employees. Problem is it will load all the 1 lakh or 1 million of record into in memory. It slower the API response and it extract the CPU usage in app server. After loading the memory, then we are applying filter condition on in memory data. So if we talk about the I queryable, if we take the same example of I queryable, so what we are doing here is we are applying the specific query on the SQL server side. Which query? Select star from employee where salary is greater than 50,000. This query directly get applied to the SQL server side and we are getting only filtered record. And that's why you can say that I queryable is much more faster than I enumerable. In real analogy, bring the entire warehouse into office and then search, that is called as I enumerable. And for I queryable, ask warehouse to send only required item. So this is the real-time example of why IQueryable is faster than IEnumerable. I hope you got the clear understanding about this too. Okay. So what is the last two question? First is LINQ query to find out the top 2 salary of employee based on each department, and second is to just figure out the return type of the particular query. Let's jump to the Visual Studio to write the actual code so that you will get the clear understanding how we can write the query to find out the top 2 highest salary of employee based on the each department. Okay, let's create a result variable. We can use context dot employees. Okay, then we'll have to use group by. Okay, because we'll have to find out the record based on the department. That's why we'll have to use group by. Then dot select. Okay, this question has been asked in many companies, not in PWC, in many companies, and this is very tricky question. Now we'll have to use department equals to g dot key. Okay, and then top employees equals to g dot order by descending with e dot salary. Then we'll have to take only twos, so we'll have to use the existing method dot take. Then we'll have to use dot to list. Okay, let's make this method proper. Okay, now let's add a semicolon here. Now we'll have to use dot to list. Okay, now we can say that we are having some error. Instead of this arrow, we'll have to simply use equals to. That's it. Okay, now return okay of result. Okay, now let's build the application, and now let's run the application to see the output. Request is completed. Let's go to the HTTP files. Now let's perform the send request. Awaiting response, no connection made. Okay, so let's build the application. I think we'll have to run the application. We haven't run it. Now let's run the application. Okay, now let's send the request. It will take some time to get the response. As you can see, we have received the response of top 2 salary of employee based on each department. As you can see, the department name and the top employees. Similarly, department HR and top employees. Similarly, department IT and top employees. Okay, so if you noticed, we have used 2 keys, department and top employees. Let's go back to the controller. Okay, where we have used 2 keys, that is department and top employees. Okay, so department has been grouped and employees record also been grouped with descending by salary, and we are taking only 2 employees. So in this way we have to write the code. Okay, now what is the last question? Let's jump to the last question. The last question is, what will be the return type of this query? Okay, so before I am letting you know the answer, you might have think in a mind that what will be the output of this query, or what will be the return type of this query. Recently we have checked. We are applying the filter condition on this collection, but we are not using .toList or .toArray. Means the moment when we use .toList means that time we are executing the query. But here we are not executing the query. We are simply applying the filter condition on query, or we can say that here we are simply building the query. Means the return type of this query is IQueryable, not IEnumerable. I hope you got the clear understanding about this.